The crystal flutes clink at the harborside bistro. Bergamot and roasted salmon cloud the air. My pulse drums louder than the quartet. Madeline Sterling lifts her glass, her nails a blood-red comma against candle flame. Then she slices the moment open. "The best gift, Olivia? You leaving my life." Music warps. Silver falls, cold on skin. I catch Dad's eyes. His smile stiffens, already apologizing for a wound he cannot shield. Why does cruelty arrive sugared? Only scorching after the room empties, the laughter a ghost of static in my ears. I stare at the champagne fizzing to nothing, feel the salt sting of the Atlantic spray through an open window. Did a single heartbeat just fracture the last bridge home? I had stood all night over the harbor rail, rain-sweet wind biting raw cheeks. Charleston lights blurred like wet paint. 35 years of trying, perfect grades, polite smiles, crumbled in that sentence. Would anyone notice if I simply stepped off the curb tomorrow morning? The earliest memory. A finger-smudged sky I painted at 6. Madeline turned the paper over, pointed to each streak. Look at the mess. People expect better from a Sterling. The marker bled through to maple wood. I carried that shame like damp wool. Dad knelt later, towel still looped over his arm from washing supper dishes. He spun the same drawing, frame it in lamplight. "Look how tall you made those clouds," he whispered, sunlight in his voice. "You stretched right past what anyone else could see." His faith was hammock gentle. I crawled inside most days after school, reading comics while he penciled tiny stars above my head. Safety smelled like cedar shelves and turpentine. When he collapsed that July afternoon, blue jay shrieks in the crepe myrtle, cicadas sawing heat. I found him between rows of ripened tomatoes. His wrist was slack, watch ticking into dirt. I screamed the way a child splits the world in two. Neighbors sprinted, compressions echoing. Sirens flared across pines. At the hospital, fluorescent lights buzzed. Madeline arrived clutching her pearl clutch, cheeks still powdered from the bridge luncheon. She scanned me, knees crusted with grass, t-shirt damp circles under arms. Her first words, "Do you have to look so pathetic?" From that moment, commentary sharpened. Stand straight. Less paint on your jeans, more polish. Each correction landed like hail on glass. I learned to hide canvases smaller than shoe boxes, paint in the laundry room where detergent scent cloaked the turpentine. Night after night, I brushed layers of impossible gardens, hung them on string with clothespins so they swayed like prayer flags above the dryer. I told Dad, somewhere beyond the ceiling, I'm still reaching past the edge. At 35, those clipped gardens had become the cover of my first gallery solo. Friends, true ones, stood in navy dresses and loosened ties, sipping Prosecco beneath pendant bulbs. Madeline came late, inspected each frame as if hunting cobwebs, offered one slow nod. Then came the toast. Then came the knife. I did not sleep. At dawn, I drove north, interstate mist rolling off marsh, wipers sweeping questions. What if worth is not something she could ever offer? What if it already lived in the brushstrokes Dad once traced above my head? I rented a loft in a quiet mountain town, gray-blue peaks cupping sunrise like porcelain. First blank canvas greeted me, taller than any door in Madeline's house. I painted until wrists burned, adding birds she never let me see. Weeks later, I shipped a small package to Charleston, inside one canvas, a sky huge enough to fit every flawed star, every trembling line. No note, only initials. O.B. The mail did not bounce back. At twilight, I sat on the loft steps, crickets stitching black silk with sound. A soft rain tapped metal roofing, smelled of moss and memory. I closed my eyes. Somewhere, Dad's smile, steady, lantern-bright, nodded approval. Betrayal no longer burned. It cooled, hardened, became the foundation beneath new flight paths. I breathed once, twice, and began again. Olivia Bennett stands in the dim campus hallway outside the dean's art gallery. The Parsons envelope trembles in her hand. Behind the door, muffled sobs twist into wailing rage. Mom's migraine, or Hurricane Madeline Sterling. The hallway smells of old chalk and rain on hot brick. A single leaf scrapes the window, dry, refusing to fall. Olivia's phone buzzes. Dad's old number. The same digits she dialed after every failed audition, every scraped knee. Breath frozen, she hovers a thumb over the green circle. Answer? Decline. The screen blurs. She remembers the last time she heard his voice. Keep painting, kid, even when the world goes quiet. Then silence. Now the name Dad glows like a ghost light. Her pulse drums in her ears. 1 ring, 2, 3. The dean's door creaks open. Madeline steps out, eyes swollen, lips pinched white. She sees the envelope, sees Olivia's thumb, sees the phone. 3 heartbeats crash together. Olivia swipes up. Silence. Then Dad's laugh, warm as sun-dried sheets. Hey, Liv, took you long enough. She slides down the wall, envelope clutched to chest. Madeline watches, frozen. Olivia whispers, Dad? The line crackles. I'm still here, every brushstroke, every risk you take. Tears spill. Madeline's rage wilts, replaced by something ancient and raw. Olivia breathes. For the first time, the hallway feels wide enough to hold both of them. The scent of scorched butter hits first, then the metallic tang of nerves. I kneel on the slate floor at Mom's jeweled feet. The sapphire bracelet snaps. That single catch clicks louder than laughter, louder than blame. Camera flash bleaches the room. In the mirror behind her, a ghost answers the glare. Dad. Not wispy. Solid. Beard streaked silver. Eyes unbroken. He mouths 3 words, no sound needed. Not for her, you. Air flips. Candle wax becomes antiseptic. Rose petals shrink to lilies on a steel table. His last breath smells like orange peel and snowmelt. Your worth isn't here, Liv. The mirror blacks out. Thunder of applause slams back in. Nobody saw, but I did, and it slices the ribbon I'd braided between guilt and gratitude. The evening started sweeter than buttercream. Fleming's private dining room gleamed under crystal drips. Each glass chimed when my pulse rose. White roses shivered, Mom's favorite, chosen like votives to honor thunder. I arrived 60 minutes early to tame the candle flames myself. Manager patted my shoulder. She must be proud. I smiled anyway. The lie tasted like corked champagne. Place card. Madeline Sterling. Her name catches every light. Bracelet box. Velvet, the shade of bruise. Inside glows Grandma's sapphire, lake water after storm. I rehearsed my line. For every storm you survived, Mom. Truth, maybe now you'll love me. Guests float in. Perfume battles stake fat. Laughter cracks polite china. Mom arrives last, wind-draped scarf already sighing complaints. I stand, seat her, lift the box. My knees fold. Ashamed, grateful, desperate. Click. The clasp seals history. Wrists feel warm with old bruises. Flash, freeze, mirror, Dad. His smile hardened into mountain rock. 1 finger raised. Stop. Antiseptic cuts the harbor air. I mate again, gripping his paint-stained hand while monitors flatline. Art first, he rasped. People second. I nod. I'm nodding still inside this grown-up skin. I pull back the velvet ribbon I placed like a necklace around Mom's wrist. Gasps rush like tide. Her face widens, porcelain cracking. The bracelet glints between us, not a gift, but a question. Which story wins? It asks. Yours or hers? Mom stares. Guests shift. Floor tilts. Time folds. Dad's voice flows river clear. Gift yourself. I rise, feet steady. The sapphire catches one last candle before I pocket it. I'm donating this, I say, voice quiet, surprised it holds. To women rebuilding after escape. honoring both of you. Mom's fork clatters silver on silver. A single white petal detaches, floats downward, lands on her plate like snow. Her lip curls. The room holds its breath. Then something flips. Her shoulders slump. Not surrender, recognition. Old griefs settle quieter than dust. She lifts her glass. I think she'll toast. Instead, she says, "Be free." The words are ice-breaking on an early river. I breathe. For the first time, the chandeliers no longer burn holes in me. Rain starts against the windows, soft pennant of late June drumming a city sidewalk. My heart expands, wild and wide. Cameras keep shooting, but I see only color now. Palette knife red, pigment white, raw umber of earth after rain. Dad fades from mirror, but warmth remains. I nod once. Silent covenant. Saturday, my studio door will unlock for good. 7. Harborside bistro doors swing. Salt air mingles with rain scent. Guests glide in. Silk rustles like fall leaves. Your mom must be thrilled, Eleanor beams. I nod, throat dry. 7:15. Madeline Sterling arrives. Black dress, silver hair, storm gray eyes. I reach for a hug. She offers a cool cheek. Valet took forever. The lighting's grim. Hydrangeas make me sneeze. Each sentence lands like a slap. I smile, signal wine, swallow the sting. Dinner unfolds. Steak fat perfumes the room. Crystal clinks. Madeline holds court. I'm background noise. Waiter leans in. Medium rare, ma'am. She frowns. Overcooked. I exhale. Count cracks in the wood floor. Dessert plates vanish. Silence gathers. I stand. Velvet box trembles. Mom. Something special. Gasps ripple. Sapphires blaze under candle fire. She snaps the lid shut. Ice settles in my ribs. Across the room, a mirror flickers. Dad? Wait. Footsteps. A courier appears. One letter. My name, Olivia Bennett, in ink I know by heart. Dad's handwriting. Impossible. Madeline's fork halts midair. I tear the seal. Paper smells of turpentine and cedar. One line. One question. I look up. Madeline's eyes widen. The chandelier dims. Rain hushes against glass. What does the letter say? A single candle sputters. Wax drips scarlet across untouched cake. Olivia Bennett sits stiff. Heart jackhammering. Palms sticky against linen. She lifts the envelope. Her dad's handwriting. Same looped Y, same dash between words, shivers like a ghost. The table holds its breath. She reads aloud. Olivia. Is anyone sitting in that chair beside you? Forks freeze. Rain scent rushes in, cold and metallic. Olivia blinks. The empty seat shifts, as if an unseen guest just leaned back. Mirror flickers again. Candlelight hits glass, reflects nothing but her own wide eyes. Madeline Sterling's glass slips, shatters. Crystal sings on marble. Around the table, faces blur. Watercolor bleeding outside lines. Eleanor's lipstick smears into teeth. The waiter's grin stretches too wide, papier-mâché. Olivia's fingers tremble over the bracelet no one touched after the toast. Sapphires, once brilliant, now dull as river stones. Another line appears beneath Dad's question, ink fresh. Leave before the room forgets you too. Her pulse drums. Chairs scrape as guests stand, slow, robotic, forming a silent circle. Their eyes sink hollow, like lanterns with wicks snuffed. She backs up. One step, two. Rain pounds the harborside windows in Morse code. Run, run, run. A single hydrangea petal flutters from centerpiece, lands crimson on her sketchbook still beside cake. Page ripples, lines ghosting away as if an eraser sweeps charcoal from inside the paper. Dad's Polaroid, tucked inside her pocket, warms against her thigh. Fire without flame. She reaches for it. Fingers meet glossy surface. On it, Dad smiles, arm around. Nothing. Empty space where she should be. Olivia's lungs shrink. Sound tunnels. She whispers, I'm still here. The chandelier bulbs pop, showering sparks like brittle stars. Darkness folds the room. A hand, warm, familiar, brushes her shoulder. Dad's scent, cedar, turpentine, winter mint. Not memory, real. He says gently, "Time to choose, Liv. Stay in the scene they wrote, or paint your own." Guest silhouettes waver, cardboard cutouts peeling at edges. She looks at Madeline. For once, storm-gray eyes hold no contempt, only pleading, like a child lost without script. Olivia's ribs crack open. Tears, hot and salt-sweet, streak down. She steps forward, into the circle, places the bracelet on the table. "Consider this my exit," she says, voice steady. Candles reignite in sudden rush, flames cobalt, emerald, sunrise gold. The room gasps. Sound returns, real and human. Faces regain color. Madeline's lips part. Olivia walks through the front door. Rain kisses her cheeks, warmer than any chandelier. Dad's footsteps echo beside hers, though footprints are only hers in puddles glowing with neon signs. Behind her, the bistro lights flicker off. Silence of closed curtain. Ahead, the city hums alive. Street lamps halo like studio floods. She inhales damp petrichor, tastes freedom on tongue. Metallic, electric. Sketchbook clutched beneath her arm, now blank, ready. She smiles, soft. "Saturday," she whispers to the night. Studio door opens. First brushstroke, me. I press the garage door opener. Click. Nothing. The sound reverberates like a countdown in the silent dark. One headlight flares in my rear view, Dad's old pickup, impossible, then vanishes. Footsteps crunch gravel behind me. My breath fogs the window. Who's back there? Rain taps the windshield in a heartbeat rhythm. I grip the steering wheel, knuckles bone white. The pickup, rust along the fender, dent I made at 16, had been sold the year Dad died. I'd watched the new owner drive it away. A leaf scrapes across the driveway like a whisper. No one should be here. The motor turns over. Headlights flood the garage interior, empty. Just shadows and the scent of cedar lingering like a ghost. I exhale, shakier than I admit. Dad's voice floats back, soft. "Art doesn't lie, Liv. Tell the truth." I shift into reverse. Tires crunch. Street lamps halo rain into silver threads. My hands still tremble. 3 blocks later, engine heat steams the hood. I stop at the red light, pulse roaring louder than the wipers. A figure appears. Madeline Sterling, my mother, under an umbrella at the curb. She steps closer. Rain glints like needles on her tailored coat. She doesn't wave. Her gaze pins me through the glass. I roll the window an inch. "Need something?" "Don't be dramatic," she says, voice cool as marble. "Perkins called. Said you're selling the condo. Are we short on funds?" I taste iron. "I'm moving on, Mom." Her fingers tighten on the umbrella handle. "Moving away from me, you mean?" Words my tongue has rehearsed for years finally leave my mouth. I can't keep paying for a love that isn't there. Red turns to green. I drive through the intersection, leaving her silhouette shrinking in the mirror. At Mom's house, my childhood cage, the mailbox overflows. I park in the drive anyway. Keys jangle like chains as I unlock the side door. Inside smells the same. Mothballs, rosemary body powder, an undertone of old resentment. A sealed envelope labeled Olivia sits on the entry table. My throat knots. Dad's handwriting, neat block letters. Heart thumping, I tear it open. Inside, 1 Polaroid. Dad and a younger me, 6, gap-toothed, clutching a crayon bouquet we'd picked from the yard. Behind us, Mom's eyes are turned away, already distant. On the back, 5 slanted words. She never learned how. I did. My ribs cave inward. Rain drums the roof overhead. Each drop feels like him knocking to be let in. Behind me, footsteps echo across hardwood. Mom's silhouette fills the doorway. No words, just the refrigerator hum and the weight of 35 years. She walks past, ignoring the letter in my hands as if it never existed. I leave it on the table for her to find. Or not. Night cloaks the harbor. Salt fog swirls, tasting like endings. I reach the bistro where the Sterling ladies convened monthly. Inside, tables already stripped bare, chairs flipped on tops like tombstones. A final meeting. Discreet, final. I press my palm to the cold glass. Inside, beside the silent gift boxes, sits Dad's old paint-stained brush on the mantel, placed like a returned relic. Tears hot on my cheeks blur the room into watercolor. I push the door. It opens. I step in. Madeline stands center, alone, umbrella dripping onto tile. Eyes meet, hers cracked glass, mine storm-tossed. No spectators this time. Quiet. Then, "So this is goodbye?" Her voice never quivers, only I feel the tremble in mine. I lift Dad's brush. He taught me how to begin again. I'm choosing to. Madeline's shoulders lower, just a breath. For once, shadows can't hide the loneliness etched there. She looks at the brush in my hand like it's a loaded gun pointed at her perfect facade. Rain seeps between roof tiles, a ticking clock above us. Moments stretch fragile as spider silk. I walk backward 2 steps, brush against my heart, then turn and leave. The rain kisses my cheeks warm. Cold salt air fills my lungs, but for the first time, they expand fully. Behind me, the bistro lights flicker off one by one. Silence of curtains drawn. Ahead, the city glows. Invitation and warning. Dad's phantom footstep keeps pace beside mine in puddles that hold reflections of a woman learning to stand alone. Sketchbook empty under my arm, blank space ready for whatever I paint next. I smile, small but real. Saturday, just me, the canvas, and a world of color I choose myself. Rain taps the gallery's skylight like anxious fingers. I clutch Dad's old paint-stained brush between 2 shaking hands. Gregory Peters slides a pale contract closer. "Sign here, Olivia," he says. Black ink meets paper. The lights flicker, the room tilts. Metal pen clatters, bones on hardwood. Gregory's face cracks, ripples, reshapes. Dad's smile. Gentle. 7 years buried. The gallery melts into sterile white. Hospice. The last sunbeam. Dad, thin as wind, whispers, "You're free, Cass." I gasp. Blank pages glare up. Empty chair creaks. Every step, each account cut, each bill canceled, unfolded inside my own mind. Dad watched, silent guide, ushering me toward daylight. Outside, rain stops. Salt breeze slips through cracked door. Harbor lights shimmer, invitation and warning. Sketchbook rests under my arm. Pure white humming possibility. Saturday. Just me, the canvas, and every color I choose to become. Everything else I decided could be sold with the condo or donated. As I packed, I realized how little I actually cared about my possessions. So many had been purchased to impress my mother or meet her expectations of what my life should look like. The expensive artwork I never particularly liked. The formal dining set I never used. The designer clothes that never felt comfortable. All could stay behind. That evening, I wrote my mother a letter. It took 7 drafts before I had something that expressed my feelings without anger or accusation. Mom, you said the best gift would be for me to leave your life. I am giving you that gift. By the time you read this, I will be gone. The financial support I have provided over the years has ended. The house bills and all expenses are now solely your responsibility. This is not done out of anger, but acceptance. You are right that our relationship has been based on obligation rather than love. I release us both from that obligation. Do not try to find me. I do not wish to be found, Cassandra. I sealed the letter in an envelope and drove to her house late that night. I slipped it under her door and walked away without looking back. That night, I checked into a hotel under a different name, paying cash. As I sat on the generic hotel bed, I felt a surreal mix of emotions from searing grief to profound relief. For the first time in my life, I was not responsible for my mother's happiness, comfort, or financial security. The weight that lifted from my shoulders was so immense I actually gasped aloud in the empty room. Over the next week, my plan unfolded with mechanical precision. James found a cash buyer for my condo, accepting 15% below market value for a quick private sale. I opened new bank accounts at a different institution and transferred my assets. I deactivated my social media accounts and got a new phone number. I took only what fit in my car driving west with no specific destination in mind. The wipers stutter on low. Highway rain smells like steam and iron. Olivia's hands still shake, clutching the wheel, white knuckles against leather. She hasn't spoken aloud since the last gas station. The radio is off. Her breathing is the only soundtrack. Freedom tastes like nothing she expected. It tastes like silence. The wide sky ahead is black, dotted with lonely headlights. Where's she going? She only knows she's running toward something that feels like maybe hope. A week gone, the guilt slaps harder. She wakes in a roadside motel at 3:07 a.m., heart hammering like a drum solo. For the first 40 years of her life, Sunday meant driving to her mother's, carrying pastries she pretended to like, practicing smiles that cracked her cheeks. Now she stares at the ceiling tiles. She counts water stains. She feels the phantom ache of her shoulder where her mother's nails used to dig in during lectures. A shiver rushes down her spine. Is this what peace feels like? Or just the calm of a pending storm? She checks her new flip phone. 0 calls. The screen is cracked in the corner. She dropped it in a gas station bathroom. She scrolls to an unsent text that simply reads, "I'm alive." Thumb hovers, then hovers. Thumb finally deletes. Freedom is not a place, she realizes. Freedom is a verb. She stands, throws cold tap water on her face. The mirror shows a stranger. Hair shorter, dark roots showing, no makeup. The old Olivia would have panicked. The new one exhales and thinks, not bad. 1 mile west of Memphis, the radio crackles alive on its own. Static. Then, a voicemail ping. The voice is Megan, clear and nervous. Your mother came here, crying. Olivia's pulse halts. She pulls over onto gravel. Tires crunch. Moonlight hits the hood like spotlight. She forces her lungs to move. The woman she left behind never cried. Madeline Sterling does not surrender. The message ends with a plea. Call me. But Olivia presses delete. The screen goes black again. 3 weeks in, she rents a studio above a used bookshop in Albuquerque. The walls are adobe, warm against her fingertips. The window faces sunset. The sky on fire with orange dust. She buys cheap acrylic paint, brushes so stiff they scratch canvas. Her hands remember. First strokes are angry. Slashes of red. Then the color pales into gentle turquoise like the ocean she loved as a child. Dad's old sketchbook still rides in her backpack. She traces his unfinished figure of a tiny girl holding a daisy. She wonders what he would say now. She whispers, I'm still trying, Dad. Outside, wind carries the scent of pinon. Leaves rustle like secrets. Olivia stands barefoot on a creaky balcony, warm tile under her soles. She hears mariachi music from a distant cantina. Tears slide. Not sad this time, just release. For the first time, she paints only for herself. No gallery, no buyer, no approval. She steps back, eyes the canvas. A blurred road stretching into golden nothing. She tilts her head. She smiles, small. It's terrible. It's beautiful. Days flip like calendar pages under a fan. She develops habits that shock her former self. Yoga at dawn. Coffee with real cream. Reading poetry out loud. Her voice cracks, but she keeps reading. Long drives where she stops only for roadside pie. She notices ordinary miracles. the way hawks circle like slow-motion ballet, the first taste of roasted green chile on warm tortillas, how strangers wave when she passes small-town squares. Each kindness chips away the scar tissue left by decades of criticism. Yet the past doesn't vanish. One evening, she walks to her mailbox. Inside lies a single envelope with Madeline's return address. Olivia's stomach coils. She rips it open. Inside, a cashier's check for a huge sum and a terse note. "Take this and reconsider your hasty decision. I expected better." Olivia laughs, then gasps, then laughs harder. She tears the note into confetti, pockets the check. She will donate every penny to a women's shelter. The act feels like rewriting history with her own hand. Night falls purple. Olivia lights candles, sets the pieces of the note on fire. Flames leap, casting orange shadows. Smoke curls, carrying the last whiff of her old life. She takes a deep breath. Another one. She speaks finally. "Mother, I'm not your project. I am my own masterpiece." For the first time in forever, the words ring true in the small room against the adobe walls. She closes her eyes. Sleep comes easy. No dreams of chasing approval, just soft desert wind. The next morning, she awakens to sunlight sneaking in through the curtains. She pads to the kitchen, makes toast with local honey. Her phone vibrates. A real call this time. Megan again. Olivia answers steady. "I'm safe," she says. Megan's voice trembles with relief. "Your mother called the police. They stopped looking after a week." Olivia closes her eyes. She is no longer a missing person. She is simply present. She smiles into the warm screen. Tell her I'm on a long road she'll never drive with me. She ends the call, steps onto balcony. New day. I thanked Megan for letting me know, but provided no details. The same day, Eleanor called my therapist's art gallery trying to get information about me. Bound by confidentiality, my therapist revealed nothing, but she did relay the message. During our next phone session, "Your mother appears to be escalating," Dr. Winters said carefully. Eleanor said she has been calling everyone you know, becoming increasingly frantic. 2 weeks in, my mother discovered her house payment was overdue. This revelation, according to Eleanor's message to my therapist, sent her into a tailspin. She had not made a mortgage payment in 5 years and had apparently forgotten the process entirely. Social media became her next battleground. Though I had deactivated my accounts, friends forwarded screenshots of her posts, which grew more dramatic by the day. "My daughter has abandoned me without warning," she wrote. "After all, I sacrificed for her. She has left her elderly mother without support or care. Please help me find her." The comments filled with sympathetic responses from people who knew only her version of events. A few who knew us both expressed skepticism, but were quickly shouted down by her supporters. 3 weeks after my disappearance, my mother received notice that her joint account with me had been frozen. According to Eleanor, who continued updating my therapist, this was when reality truly began to set in. She went to the bank and made quite a scene, Eleanor reported. They explained the account was frozen and suggested she open a new one with her own funds. She said she had no funds, that Cassandra handled all that. My mother had never bothered to understand her own financial situation. Despite having a modest pension from my father's job and Social Security income, she had always relied on my supplemental support to maintain her lifestyle. Without it, she faced a harsh reality. A month into my absence, my mother received notice that her credit card payments were past due. All 6 of her cards had been maxed out, and she had been making only minimum payments using my money. Now, she faced over $40,000 in credit card debt with no way to pay it. When James Wilson placed a sold sign in front of my condo, my mother drove there in a panic only to find new owners moving in. They had no information about me to share. 5 weeks after I left, my mother missed her second mortgage payment and received her first formal warning from the bank. This, coupled with her mounting credit card debt, caused her first health crisis. Eleanor found her collapsed in her kitchen, hyperventilating from an anxiety attack. At the hospital, her blood pressure was dangerously high and the doctor prescribed medication for anxiety and hypertension. "She kept asking for you," Eleanor told my therapist. "It was the first time I saw her actually worried about you rather than what you could do for her." After 6 weeks, my mother left her first voicemail that wasn't demanding or accusing. Her voice sounded smaller, older. "Cassandra, I do not understand why you have done this. I need you to come home. I miss you." The last part sounded forced, unpracticed, as if expressing affection was a foreign language to her. 2 months after I left, my mother received foreclosure warnings. Her house, worth nearly $1 million in Brooklyn's expensive market, had substantial equity, but she had no idea how to access it or manage a sale. Eleanor, despite being 80 herself, helped my mother meet with a financial advisor who explained her situation in stark terms. Sell the house, pay off the debt, and find a more affordable living situation, or face bankruptcy and foreclosure. "Your mother finally broke down," Eleanor reported. "She admitted that she drove you away. She showed me the letter you left. It was the first time I have seen her take responsibility for anything in the 40 years I have known her." 3 months after my disappearance, my mother wrote me a letter. The envelope, crumpled in my hand, smelled like damp Charleston rain. Eleanor's name across the return corner. "She never mails anything," I muttered. "Should I open it?" Ink raced down the page like a watercolor in Dad's old sky paintings. My throat closed. The greeting read, "Cassandra," then froze. Click. The room's soundtrack died to raw answering machine hiss. I taste salt. Mom's wavering apology becomes Dad's gentle baritone daring through every line. "I wrote it through her hand, baby. She still can't forgive herself, so I will." My pulse sparks. Same paper I once used for sky sketches in Dad's studio, the scent of turpentine ghosting across decades. Each word in thick charcoal as though Dad gripped her wrist, guiding every jagged stroke. I owed you apologies long before she did. Mom's house is gone next season. She buys her own birthday cake now, a slice for you instead of candles. Facing bankruptcy taught her humility. Selling the Brooklyn brownstone freed both of you. She sits in a quiet senior apartment where leaf scrapings against the window remind her of playgrounds you never got to choose freely. She writes in a new journal beside a framed photo, Dad teaching an 8-year-old you to dip the brush. She mails no updates. Yet the sky you painted at 7 travels, unwinding from attic storage to thrift shelf to courier. Half-moon water stains form clouds where Dad's voice once echoed off harbor fog when he promised, "One day you'll use the entire sun." His promise returns, light and clear, carried inside your mother's trembling sentence. "I am learning to hope for your joy without claiming it." You, Cassandra, breathe easier under Charleston galleries now lit by your own opening night. Dad's applause echoes in the brushstrokes. Mom watches the past from a small safe window she found by herself. After 2 weeks of driving across the country, I settled in Seattle, as far from Charleston as I could get, while staying in the continental United States. The constant rain and gray skies matched my mood those first few months, but the stunning beauty of the Pacific Northwest began to heal something in me. I found a modest apartment in Queen Anne with a view of Puget Sound. Unlike my Charleston condo, I furnished this place entirely to my own taste. Simple, comfortable furniture in blues and greens that reminded me of the ocean. No formal dining room, no guest room designed to impress visitors who never came, just spaces that felt like home to me. Using my experience and credentials, I found a position at a boutique financial firm specializing in ethical investments. The company was smaller than my Charleston firm, the clients less wealthy, but the culture emphasized work-life balance and genuine service rather than prestige and profit. We value advisors who care about their clients as people, not just portfolios, the managing partner told me during my interview. I almost cried at the simple humanity of that statement. Finding a therapist was my next priority. Dr. Matthews specialized in childhood trauma and toxic family dynamics. Unlike my Charleston therapist who had gently encouraged reconciliation over the years, Dr. Matthews validated my decision to separate from my mother. Arrangement is sometimes the healthiest choice, she told me during our first session. Not every relationship can or should be saved. Those words gave me permission to stop feeling guilty about my choice, to stop second-guessing the decision that had allowed me to breathe freely for the first time in decades. Making friends proved more challenging than finding work or housing. In Charleston, most of my social connections had been through my mother or workplace. In Seattle, I had to learn to form relationships based solely on common interests and genuine connection. 6-year-old Olivia kneels beside Dad at the splintered table. Turquoise finger paint smears across the backs of grocery flyers, smells like Play-Doh and pine cleaner. His steady hand cups hers, adding glitter galaxies. Mama's cold shout rattles the stairs. Paper wings shake, colors blur. Grape juice sticks to my lips. His voice, soft as flannel. Yours, kid, every star. That memory still rattles inside the silver spray can I shake before any mural. Heartbeat, dried beans. Now, gray Seattle rain drums the windshield as I park. The sound carries that same childhood thunder. I breathe rain scent, taste salt, feel Dad's ghost in the car seat next to me. What would he say seeing his daughter finally safe? I step into Dr. Matthews's art gallery, clutch my notebook like a life raft. We talk about the letter to little Olivia. Ink trembles, then flows. You are not the echo of her anger. You are enough already. The words burn cold and hot at once. I hear leaf rustle outside, smell cedar, feel the past unclench like a fist. 2 weeks pass. Daniel meets me after work at the Harborside Bistro. Candlelight flickers gold on water. He orders clam chowder, sets 1 spoon between us, gentle, no pressure. I tell him about the letter. His eyes soften. Would Dad be proud? I ask. Daniel takes my hand. The warmth answers before words. That night, back in my Queen Anne apartment, I pin the letter above my desk. I open a fresh canvas. Silver spray hisses across navy acrylic. A child reaching toward constellations, guided by hand only I remember. At 1 a.m., the city sleeps. I stand alone, brush still dripping. Rain scent drifts through the cracked window. I taste salt again, but this time it is the ocean I chose. 6 months stretch to a year. Holidays arrive softer now. Thanksgiving finds me on Stephanie's roof deck, string lights tangled across cedar posts. We toast homemade cider. Laughter rings easy. Christmas, Daniel and I hike Rattlesnake Ridge, snow crunching beneath boots. At the summit, I turn full circle, mountains, water, sky, boundless and mine. One January morning, the art gallery where I volunteer posts a call for local muralists. I submit the constellation piece. Weeks later, an email arrives, selected. My hands tremble typing the reply. Daniel whoops, lifts me in a circle. That night I kneel on the unfinished mural wall on Capitol Hill, shake the same silver can. Spray blooms into stars. Passers-by stop. A boy, no older than 6, points. Mouth round, eyes bright. Mom, look. His small hand waves just like mine once did. For a second, past and future overlap. The unveiling comes on a crisp March afternoon. Sunlight glints on wet paint. Turquoise bleeding into sun yellow, just like Dad's flyer. I stand shoulder to shoulder with Daniel, Stephanie, the entire hiking group. Someone starts clapping. The sound swells, carries across the avenue. I feel it echo inside my ribs. Steady, loving, alive. Later, walking home, Daniel squeezes my hand. What now? He asks. Leaves rustle overhead, new green against gray sky. I smile. Now we breathe. Somewhere inside the mural, Dad's flannel voice whispers, "Every star." The past no longer owns me. It simply guides. I am not the echo of any shout. I am Olivia, standing in her own light, ready to keep painting. Emergency lights stutter across Olivia's studio. Red. Black. Red again. The unopened letter quivers between her paint-slick fingers. One edge whispers apology. The other edge snarls threat. Brush hits concrete, rolls, stops. Behind the half-finished canvas, a figure glows. Dad. Not memory. Presence. Faded work shirt, same cinnamon scent from Saturday morning pancakes. His eyes lock on hers. Read it. Burn it. Decide before the bulb dies. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. The hall bulb pops. Darkness licks the walls. A knob turns with the hush of metal on wood. The letter flutters like a trapped moth. She looks back. Dad is gone. Only the echo of his whisper. Whatever waits, you face it as Olivia, not the echo of her. The door cracks open. A slice of hallway light cuts the red darkness. Silhouette pauses. Breath held. Rain scent leaks through the cracked window. Leaf rustle under unseen boots. Then, nothing. Footsteps retreat. Silence swells back in. Olivia stands alone, letter against racing heart. Choice still trembles. She sets a match to the paper corner. Flame kisses apology, threat, years. Ash drifts like silver snow. On the canvas, fresh paint glistens. Stars burst where ash lands. Dad's voice inside the crackle. Every spark, every star. My plane dipped over the harbor, wheels skimming slate water. 1 year since I fled Charleston. 1 year since Eleanor mailed me a watercolor proof that my mother, Madeline Sterling, was alive. What does a daughter owe a ghost who finally learns to breathe? Rain drummed the windshield as I stepped onto damp brick. Charleston smelled like copper gutters and coffee gone cold. Familiar. Cruel. I left the bags at the hotel. Taxi, quiet radio, old songs. Beacon Hill rose. Eleanor's light shone gold in an otherwise dark street. Inside, tea steamed between us. Jasmine. Comfort wrapped in steam. She takes classes Tuesday nights, Eleanor said, fingers circling the rim of her cup. The senior studio on Cambridge Street. 5:30 sharp. But Olivia, she won't know you. I swallowed. My pulse counted bricks on the walk home. Tuesday crawled like chalk on pavement. I waited until 6. Crowds thin. Easier to vanish if tears struck. The hallway smelled of gesso, lemon soap, fear. Brushes clinked glass jars. I slipped through the door frame. Silence folded inside the room. 12 easels, 12 strangers. One figure in the far corner. Silver hair tied back, a slash of cobalt on her cheek. Madeline. My mother. Cadmium light spilled across damp paper. A face stared out from the wash. My mouth, my stubborn chin. But the eyes, hers, softened. My heart stammered. She never painted me. Not once. The instructor strolled. "Keep layering, Cass." Cass. She signed the portrait. Cass. She painted the daughter she wanted. Me. Brighter, quieter, safer. My hands trembled against my jeans. I stepped closer. Paint smeared the floor like blood without injury. Madeline's brush lifted. Her wrist flicked. A single stroke, tear of umber, landed beneath the paper Olivia's right eye. Regret? Wish? I could not tell. My breath caught audibly. She froze but did not turn. I waited 1 heartbeat, 2, 3, then backed away. Door hinges sighed as I exited. Night air hit like iced river water. Across the street, neon bistro lights flickered open. I crossed, ordered tea, wrapped cold fingers around the porcelain. Steam kissed my lashes. Minutes bled. Rain started softly. My reflection trembled in the window. Half wet, half dry. Madeline appeared at the crosswalk, clutching her folder under one arm. No umbrella. Gray trench darkening at the shoulders. Our eyes met through glass. Recognition flickered. Her chin lifted just enough. I rose without thinking, stepped outside. Water sluiced off the awning. She stopped 3 feet away. Silence louder than traffic. "I saw the painting," I whispered. Moisture beaded on my lips. "You signed it, Cass." Her mouth parted. No words. Rain blurred us both. "I am not the girl on that paper." My voice steadied. "I am loud. I leave lights on. I paint outside the lines." She closed the folder against her chest. Water soaked the edge. Colors ran. Bled. Madeline nodded. Once. Slowly. Then offered the folder. Inside lay the watercolor portrait. Beside my signature in bold crimson strokes, she had added a word, Mom, in shaky cobalt. Her eyes, blue like mine, older like mine, spoke a question neither of us voiced out loud. I took the painting. Rain seeped between the fibers. We stood. 2 women, same face, different memories, sharing one storm. Across the avenue, Eleanor watched from her bay window, candle in her wrinkled hand. She lifted it in soft salute. Madeline finally spoke, voice husky, unused. "Would you like tea?" Tea. Like childhood Saturday mornings before lectures slipped into screaming. I nodded. Together we crossed the slick bricks. Rain washed pigment from the page, but the lines stayed. At Eleanor's gate, she took our coats. Hot mugs found our palms. Jasmine again. Comfort wrapped in steam. Madeline sipped. "I signed it wrong," she said quietly. "Olivia, not Cass. I'm learning names again." Later, walking home beneath clearing sky, stars pricked the black edge like needlepoints of light. Somewhere, Dad's flannel voice whispered through leaf rustle. "Every start counts." I held the folder close. Colors ran together, a blur of blues, greens, my own true name shining beneath. I hadn't meant to see Mom, but the rental car drifted across the bridge like it remembered the route better than I did. Rain misted the windshield, scent of wet stone and exhaust. Her new address was a squat brick senior complex, not the looming colonial with its echoing halls. I parked. Just a drive-by, I told myself. Then I spotted her. Smaller, grocery bag swinging, silver hair thinner. An automatic gasp stuck in my throat. Before courage failed, I opened the door. Leaf rustle under my sneakers became thunder. We collided at the cafe counter. She stared, uncertain, as if I were a stranger wearing her daughter's face. "Cassandra." A hush fell between clacking cups. People flowed around us like water. I forced the word, "Hi, Mom." The barista slid a latte forward. Foam heart dissolving fast. Steam curled, carrying sugar and rain. She whispered, voice crackling like old vinyl, "Sit with me." The cafe smelled of burnt caramel and nerves. We took the window table. Sunlight sliced across her cheekbones, catching a tremor. "I didn't know you were in Charleston," she said. Her fingers wrapped the cup, same grip that once clenched rulers and lecture notes. "I didn't announce it," I replied. An inch of quiet stretched. She reached, stopped, curled her hand back. "Your hair. Different." I touched the shorter waves, remembered cutting them the night Dad left this world. "You look tired," she added. Was that care or criticism? My stomach clenched, old reflex. Outside, rain thickened. Droplets raced down glass like tears on a canvas. I watched one bead roll right, then left, hesitating at the ledge, mirroring me. Mom cleared her throat. "I've been better," she admitted. 3 words. I waited 35 years for 3 honest words. They landed heavier than any sermon. "Dad would want us," I began. She flinched. Dad's name always cracked the veneer. "Would he?" she murmured. Her eyes, blue like mine, older, held a question neither of us voiced. Could we start again without his buffer? The barista called another name. Ceramic clinked. I slid my untouched latte toward her. Cream swirled like paint on water. She stared at the spiral, then lifted it. Our cups met. Accidental toast. The lid clipped loose, rolled, clattered. Coffee flooded the counter, spreading like liquid sunrise. In the glossy puddle, a reflection glimmered. Dad's gentle eyes crinkled at the corners. My breath caught, heart thumped once, loud. He wasn't gone. He was directing this clumsy reunion, steering spoons and spilled milk. I felt the steering wheel I never touched. Every turn, every raindrop timing, it was Dad, not fate. Dad guiding me back to a shaky table and a softer version of the woman who once broke me. Mom's fingers brushed mine, reaching for napkins. Skin to skin. Warm. Neither of us pulled away. Outside, thunder rumbled approval. Inside, the mess cooled into brown lacquer on fake wood. I dabbed it anyway, shoulders shaking. Not from cold, but from the sudden certainty that this stain could be beautiful. She whispered again. Would you, perhaps, come upstairs? I have tea. Tea. Simple, tiny, enormous. I nodded. Together we stood. 2 cups left behind, half full, half forgotten. Rain eased to mist as we walked the short path. Our shoes splashed the same puddles. Above us a single cloud split, letting gold light through. In that glow, Mom's face looked almost young. Dad, I thought, I'm listening. After a few minutes of strained small talk about the weather and the coffee shop, I suggested we walk to the park across the street, a public place, neutral ground, but more private than the bustling cafe. We sat on a bench, leaving careful space between us. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then my mother did something I had never seen her do. She cried. Not the manipulative tears she had sometimes used to get her way, but silent, dignified tears that she tried to wipe away discreetly. I am sorry, she said, her voice steady despite the tears. I never thought I would see you again. I never planned to come back, I admitted. She nodded. I understand why. I've had a lot of time to think about everything. Eleanor mentioned you joined a support group. Yes, parents estranged from adult children. PAC, they call it. She gave a small self-deprecating laugh. At first I went to learn how to get you back, but what I learned instead was why you left. She turned slightly to face me, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The other parents there, they all had stories about their ungrateful children who abandoned them for no reason. But as they talked, I began to see the patterns, the control, the criticism, the emotional manipulation. I recognized myself in their stories, and it was uncomfortable. I remained silent, hardly believing what I was hearing. My therapist, Dr. Collins, helped me understand something I never wanted to face. She took a deep breath. I treated you the way my mother treated me. This was new information. My grandmother, who had died when I was 10, had always seemed like a saint in family stories. Your grandmother? My mother nodded. She was cruel. Nothing I did was ever good enough. She compared me constantly to my cousins, to neighbors' children. She told me I was the disappointment of her life. Her voice caught. Sound familiar? I felt a chill despite the warm spring day. You never told me. I never told anyone. I was ashamed, somehow, as if her treatment of me was my fault. She looked down at her hands. When you were born, I swore I would be different, but I did not know how. I had no model for good mothering, only perfect images from magazines and television that I could never live up to. That explains some things I said carefully, but it does not excuse them. No, she agreed immediately. It does not. Nothing excuses how I treated you, especially after your father died. I was jealous of your relationship with him. He knew how to love you in a way I did not know how to love anyone. The frankness of this admission stunned me. My mother had never acknowledged my father's superior parenting, let alone admitted jealousy of our bond. After he died, I blamed you because I could not bear to blame myself for not being there when he needed me. And then, over the years, it became a habit making you responsible for my happiness, my comfort, my everything. She wiped away another tear. It was wrong, Cassandra. All of it was wrong. We sat in silence for several minutes, the weight of decades of pain between us. I brought something for you, she said finally, reaching into her purse. She pulled out a worn leather journal. I have been writing this since you left. My therapist suggested it might help me understand my behavior and its impact on you. She held it out to me. You do not have to read it, but if you ever want to understand, it is all there. My childhood, my marriage to your father, my failures as your mother, and my work to become someone different. I took the journal, feeling its weight in my hands. Thank you, I said, not knowing if I would ever open it. I am not asking for forgiveness, she continued. I am not even asking to be part of your life again. I just wanted you to know that I understand now why you had to leave and that I am truly sorry for making that necessary. As we parted that day, there was no tearful reconciliation, no promises of a restored relationship. Instead, there was something more valuable, truth. For the first time, we had spoken honestly about our shared past and the damage done. I live in Seattle now, I told her as we stood to leave. I have a good life there, she smiled, a genuine smile without bitterness. I am glad. That is what I should have wanted for you all along. I cannot promise anything I said carefully, but if you would like, we could exchange emails. Just see how it goes. I would like that very much, she replied, her voice steady, but her eyes bright with unshed tears. We agreed to a limited correspondence emails only for 3 months. No phone calls, no visits, just written words that could be considered carefully before being sent or read. As I watched her walk back to her apartment building, shoulders straight but without the rigid control, I remembered I felt something unexpected hope. Not for the mother-daughter relationship I had always craved as a child, but for a new, more honest connection between two flawed adults who shared a painful history, but might possibly find a way forward. On the plane back to Seattle, I held the journal but did not open it. Some truths needed to be approached slowly with care and support. I would share it with Dr. Matthews first, then decide if and when I was ready to read my mother's unfiltered thoughts. Daniel met me at the airport, his calm presence a balm after the emotional turbulence of the trip. "How did it go?" he asked simply as we drove home. "Honestly," I replied, "nothing like I expected, and maybe, just maybe, better than I feared." 2 years have passed since I vanished from my mother's life. In that time, I have built something I never thought possible. A life defined by peace rather than constant anxiety, by genuine connection rather than obligation, by self-worth rather than desperate approval-seeking. My career in Seattle has flourished. I was made partner at the firm last year specializing in helping women achieve financial independence after divorce or widowhood. The work feels meaningful in a way my Charleston position never did, perhaps, because I understand firsthand the power of financial security in creating freedom. Daniel proposed 6 months ago on a hiking trail overlooking the Olympic Mountains. Unlike my previous relationships, our connection has grown slowly and steadily built on mutual respect and genuine affection rather than desperation or convenience. When I said yes, it was with complete confidence rather than the nagging doubt that had accompanied major decisions in my past life. My relationship with my mother has evolved into something I never imagined possible. Our email correspondence gradually expanded to include occasional phone calls. Last Christmas, I invited her to visit Seattle, and, to my surprise, she came. Watching her interact with Daniel and his family was Rivoli. She was quieter, more observant, less quick to judge or criticize. When Daniel's niece showed her a drawing, my mother admired it sincerely without pointing out flaws or making comparisons. It was as if she was learning how to be a grandmother by watching Daniel's parents with their grandchildren. "Your mother is not what I expected from your stories," Daniel said after she returned to Charleston. "She is not the same person," I replied, realizing the truth of it as I spoke. "Neither am I. We are planning a small wedding for next spring." When I hesitantly asked if she would like to attend, my mother's response surprised me. "I would be honored," she wrote, "but I will understand if you change your mind. This day should be perfect for you, not stressful because of my presence." This consideration of my feelings, this willingness to step back if needed, was evidence of how far she had come. 2 years ago, she would have either demanded a central role or refused to attend out of spite. I flip the final page. The scent hits. Cedar, rain on Charleston docks. A single line. Dad's ink, not Mom's. "I mailed this to Madeline the week I died." Wait, I read aloud. "My dearest Maddie, if you're angry, blame me. But our little girl needs both of us. Let her words finish this story. Love, always, Richard." My heart stalls. The mentor I mourned orchestrated the last bridge between the women he loved. I close the journal. Cedar lingers like Dad's hug. Mom's handwriting answers beneath, trembling but clear. My first apology came when I wrote. My last is when you read. Tears blur the lines. Daniel's hand finds mine. Outside, gulls wheel over glassy harbor. I breathe. I forgive. Not for her, for me. The scars stay, yet so does the light. Harbor wind tangles hair, salt chops the air. Olivia stares at the reservation app. One tap to bail. Mom still types, "I'm outside." Feet drag anyway. 10 steps, the door shuts behind her like a vault. Candle on a single table. Flame shivers. Madeline Sterling lifts a trembling glass. Not a throne like the banquet 2 years ago. No ranks, just 2 glasses. Sourdough scent, burnt edges. A trumpet hum from the kitchen, distant, soft. She meets Olivia's eyes. Second chances scare me too. Pause. A breath holds time still. "Thank you for walking away, so I could finally see how dark I became." Mother's voice cracks like old paint. Salt, tears, both smell the same. Olivia remembers rain pelting ill-fitting skylight in her studio the night she left. Dad's ghost stood beside her then, silent. She feels him now, palm close, not quite touch. Cedar and turpentine ride the memory. The waiter sets herb butter between them. Stainless blade reflects blade. Slice, spread. Olives roll like marbles. Nothing fancy. Everything honest. Olivia tastes almonds, smoke, forgiveness. Mom lifts another crumb. Crumbles it, lets crumbs fall like breadcrumbs back to the girl she lost. Outside, late gulls scream. Inside, plates cool. Patrons murmur. Unaware history breathes at table 12. Olivia's throat tightens. Is healing rebellion against the past? Or surrender? Madeline sets her fork. "I worried dinner would be a stage. One wrong line, curtain falls." She laughs once, brittle. "Then I chose small. Quiet, you first." Olive oil rainbows in the lamplight. Small miracles. Olivia finally answers. "I used to rehearse every hello, fearing a hidden trap." Breath. "Today, I just walked in." Mom nods. Sometimes the bravest hello begins with goodbye. Flame gutters, clings, survives. Quiet lingers longer. Salt crystals sparkle on tablecloth like frost. Strangers leave. Doors jingle. Far away. Father's imagined chuckle brushes Olivia's ear. Pain transforms, soft as linen. Mother clasps Olivia's fingers. Static tingles. The touch is not apology. It is scar and star both. Olivia inhales yeast, rain ink in hair. Scar tissue warms. She opens her lips. "I brought charcoal." From her tote, a tiny sketchbook appears, black leather scuffed like old sidewalks. Dad's initials carved inside. She flips to a fresh page. Hands sketch the flame in 5 strokes. Not perfect, honest. She turns the book toward Madeline. The drawing waits, small witness. Tears shine, magnifying green candle to emerald. Mom presses charcoal dust to her own thumb, prints a lighter mark beside Olivia's dark one. 2 prints, different tones, same flame heartbeat. Thundercloud passes outside window. Street lamps blink like old friends. Olivia sets a pencil down. Silence does the speaking. Her chest no longer cages walls. It breathes breeze from open door. Madeline clears throat. Your father believed art saved him from bitterness. I thought discipline saved me from chaos. We were half right. A small grin. Flicker, fade. Tonight, discipline meets art. Thank you for showing me how. Olivia smiles back. Candles burn lower, yet light stretches. Harbor fog fingers windows. Inside, warmth grows, rememberable in every future rain.